Hello again. Hello there. Steve here again. I want to continue with this version that we just released. I want to kind of go over some of the other many things in here, and I want to do a little clip on group B, the dynamic management. We used to be trade management was B. We pushed it down and put dynamic in here only because it's regarding trade management. As you know, A is just how many quantities and how you want to get in. And now B is dealing with the dynamic part of it. So your choices that we have here is the dynamic EPA, which stands for exponential profit average. So if you have that on, and it only works with quantity 1. So under group A, if you have 1 in quantity, it's going to work with that one only if it's on. So anyway, the trade array is going to be 10 trades. And it's based on a percent, it's exponential. So that the oldest 6 are going to be weighted differently than the most current 4 trades that you have based on the profit. And then it's the minimum target. It will move the target if it exceeds this. So for instance, your minimum target is 40. So it's not going to move any closer to 40. If the average is only 30, it's going to keep your average of 40. But let's say you have it set for 40. And over the last trades, its average is 50. It will automatically move your target to 50 on quantity 1 only. So if you don't want it to move, if you want to just visualize how many, what your average numbers are, then sometimes I'll put 999 in there because I don't want it to move. I want it, a real number, but I still want to kind of measure my averages. And then the final extension is based on where you got out. It's kind of like the MFE plus so many ticks. Right now with your current data that Ninja captures is your MFE, and it'll see what your favorable excursion is, but this does an extension. I want my favorable excursion plus another 20 ticks. So in other words, I don't want my average based on just where I got out. I want to see what the trade did. And if the trade did even more than that, well, then I want to capture that. Even though I didn't take advantage of it, that was the move. So I want to be able to grab that. If you want to see it up here in the data box, plots down here at the bottom is this one here, the display text color. If you make that other than transparent, let's turn it on right now. Hold on. Okay, I usually just put chartreuse on there. So anyway, you'll see the data box up here. But needless to say, so this is going to take my average. It's going to say I want a minimum of, if you want to see it, I could probably do some manual trades. Let's do a minimum of 10. Well, this is NASDAQ. And then a final. And then the next one here is the dynamic stop management. Now that's a lot of internal stuff, just internal logic. So whether you do or you don't want it, you can just undo it. And you can just do all your trade management in this section here, which is the other part of the video you can watch. But needless to say, this is all internal, whether you want it or you don't. Okay, so these last two ones right here are going to be, we'll show you the long and short. That's the order. So long and short is going to give you your average trades based on the last 10 trades with that little extension on there, whatever you put on there, if you even put anything on there at all, I suppose. Okay, so without further ado, I changed it to NASDAQ. And I must say I cheated a little bit, so I have an idea possibly of where some good shorts and longs are, because I want to try this dynamic part of it. Keep in mind, I don't want to get too involved in here, but there's like 7 parts of stop management in here. And trying to pick out just the dynamic is going to be hard. So if you, without turning everything else off and making a big ordeal out of it, but if you hear a movement, as soon as the trade gets in, that's something else. That's a pivot stop that's looking in the past. It's looking for prior pivots. So if you have your stop at 100, let's say your initial stop's at 100, if you have it set to go look in the back for a pivot, it will go in the past, find a pivot, and then move it up closer. If it finds one. If it doesn't find one, it'll stay at the 100. But if it finds one closer, it'll move up to that and move underneath it by, I think I have it set for 4 ticks, so 1 point underneath that pivot. So that's only if it cha-chings right away and moves instantly. As soon as you get in, it just takes a millisecond to do it. If you don't hear the cha-ching, then that's what it is. So, but keep in mind that there's a lot of different trade management. They're only going to move in one direction. And they're all independent of each other, and they're only going to move forward. They're not going to move. They're going to trail the stop, and nothing is going to move it backwards. So Let me see if I can find a few here, and we're going to look at these numbers here, the longs and shorts. And let's take a short. I'm not quite sure exactly where it is, but now so you notice here that so our stop is going to be at 80, our target is 100. That's the default. You didn't hear the cha-ching, so it must not have found something in the past. And if you notice, we don't have any numbers in there. So we don't know what our past EPA exponential profit average is because we don't have any profit. So the first one is always going to be at your default when you turn it on, when you turn a strategy on. If you turn it off to change the setting, turn it back on again, you're starting all over again. And that's a separate indicator, by the way. These stops, and that's a separate indicator. It's not part of Helios. Needless to say, so let's keep going. Now, if you notice, it's trailing. There's all kinds of different logic, so it's kind of hard to say what's what, but without turning them all off and just really narrowing down on one individual. But as soon as we get out, so the lowest part that we had on this trade, our MFE, would be down here at 186. If this continues to go up 20 more ticks, or even if it comes down 20 ticks, we're not going to exceed it. So this is going to be our max. So our max trade, even with the extension, if I measured that, it should be about 85 ticks as soon as I get 20 ticks over here. So let's get 20 more ticks in either direction, but it's not going to matter. And we should get, there's our 100. Okay, so we went 100. So it's measuring to about here before it times off. So there it is right there. It's measuring that lowest point right there. And now it's going to stop at 100, stop calculating. So the move, even though we didn't get it because we got out on the stop, the move itself was 100 ticks. So let's go long here.
Order submitted.
Might be too early to go long, but let's see. Now here, let me move this stop. Let me just kill this target. Let's kill that target because I want my dynamic stop to kick in. And there's, again, a lot of things in here, so we'll see if we could do it.
Stop failed.
Okay, so there's our long. Let us calculate its extension. There it is. So you can see our long averages, and it's based on one trade, so keep it for a grain of salt. So if our minimum target is 20, we've exceeded that. So as soon as we put on the new trade, it's going to jump to the short. It's going to go to 164. So let's do that. So let's go long again. Oh.
Order submitted.
So there it is. So there's the 64. But I'm going to try to see if we can get our dynamic stop to run. Okay, so this is not going to cooperate. So that's going to mess up our average. Now you notice, now it's still going to move our stop because our minimum is 20 ticks, so it's going to move it to 40. So let me try that again here in a second. So I'm going to do an up bar. Now, internally, I have this set for a 34.5 chart, and this is getting way off on what I was talking about. But this is set up on a synthetic data series of a 34.5, so it's going to give me an up bar based on a 34.5 and get me in. So it needs to come down. There it is. Now I've got my down bar on the, again, you're not seeing the 34.5 chart, but if you were seeing the 34.5 chart, it'd be going down right now. And as soon as we trip that and breach it, we'll go long.
Order submitted.
And I want to get this out of the way. You see it's at 40. Hopefully we can get the runner here. And I didn't hear a cha-ching, so that means it didn't find a pivot. I'm going to do that again in the event it pops me out. There, which it did. And then we're going to go long again. And we're going to do it again because I think it's going to go long for pretty soon. So I'm going to got my bar on again just to get me in if we breach that. And it'll chase it down deeper and deeper until it pops it, or until I turn it off. And the target should be at 33, which I want to get rid of. There it is. Hopefully this will run. Okay, you can see how it's staggered all over the place. So that might be a move to break even. There's another one in there. So I mean, there's all kinds of things in there. It's kind of hard to say what's making things work without really evaluating it. But I can tell you there's going to be one in there that's dynamic. So anyway, you can play around with that on your own, and now you can see our averages. Let me get a little more numbers in here. Our averages are what, 54 now. So now our next target long will be 54 and 100 for the short. That's it for this video, but I think you understand it, and we'll do more later. All right, thanks.